All right, y'all know who it is, man. Your favorite cousin checking in, man. It is definitely a beautiful situation. Young Jock, Solo Shawty, and in the building, live, we have the beautiful, the very talented Monica.
Yeah.
Good morning. Good morning, good people.
What's up, A-Town? What's up, Monica?
Nothing. Sitting here looking at our city.
Oh, you got you one of them those beautiful views, I see.
Yeah.
I thought you was gonna say. I thought you was in Cali somewhere.
No, I'm right in the city.
Well, I mean, you could have been traveling. You could have been on vacation. You know what I'm saying?
I could not have been traveling with these kids, and my parents live here. I mean, if I travel, it's like super select, and I make sure that I don't end up in the airport. But we take this thing serious over here.
Amen to that. Ain't mad at you. And we speaking of COVID-19, I'm sure.
Absolutely. We are not playing around.
So Monica, decades of hits, decades of ups and downs, just the perils of life. How are you holding up right now with everything going on? Before we even get into everything that the world knows, how is Monica, just Monica Denise, how is Monica Denise holding up through all this?
I've been great. I mean, I've always been the type to find the good in any situation, and even being in a position where we can't really move around a whole lot, it's been good because it's been giving me time to just focus on the people that matter most, the kids. And, you know, we had almost 5 months of us just, you think you know everything about your children, but until you really in one space for a long period of time, you start realizing that there were just some things you did not know.
You be like, oh, you the little shyster one on the low.
Listen, you think you have it all figured out, but when you right in the same space for all this time, it's a little bit different. So I just been finding ways to stay positive and just to do things that I hadn't really made time for before. I've just been doing that. That's about it.
So I'm pretty sure that's like homework, Zoom classes, stuff that we've never even been privy to. Not saying homework, but I mean your child.
Virtual learning, period.
They're sitting in the living room or the kitchen on Zoom in a class. You never even seen half these students, and your child has to try to sit there and focus, and you got to make sure that they're on top of their work. What has that been like for you?
It's been interesting because I'm realizing how much I don't know. Okay, I would not fare well in the 10th grade right about now. And I'm looking at my son work like, oh, that's not how we did that. You know, I realize I cannot help them as much as I thought I could, but I do like that it challenges me to be really, really in depth with whatever they got going on, whether it's the lesson or even some of the challenges of them being respectful in each other's space. Because everybody, you know, you do have your own rooms and stuff, but I try to make sure that when they're in class, they're kind of where I can see or where my mom can see. But when it comes to really helping them with their work, I have a completely different level of appreciation for teachers because I have no idea what the hell he be doing in 10th grade. The work looked crazy to me. So I have a different level of appreciation for those that make it happen on the daily right about now.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Hey.
So what's up, Sue?
I'm Solo, Monica. I am so honored to meet you, girl. I'm so excited, even if it is just virtual.
Thank you. Nice to meet you too.
Likewise. I was gonna put my white shoes on, but I was like, nah, let me leave it alone.
I'm so sick of hearing about those shoes. If I could have found a pair, I would have definitely brought them to Verzuz.
Listen, I promised. I was like, you know what?
Couldn't find them.
I was like, let me find some white shoes. And when we start, I'm gonna have the camera pointing down, but it just didn't work out that way.
I could not find them anywhere.
I went to every Goodwill I could yesterday. I'm talking about everywhere. I couldn't find none. I started to get some of my
couldn't find them either.
I started to get some of my old lady high heels and cut the heel off and just sit my shoes up on the counter when the Zoom came on. But I ain't want you to hang up.
Listen. Because of Monica, I promise that style is about to come right the fuck back out.
Oh, I beg to differ.
No.
If that come back, don't blame that on me.
Hey, Monica, listen. I've seen some things, and I said, no, this is gonna happen. But look, We're gonna get off of that. That's the past. We got to talk about right now, the present. New single, new album. We want to know. We want to know. I feel like you've always been one for the perfect timing and a perfect setup when it comes to the distribution of your music, and you just gifting us with your gift. Let's talk about it. Let's get into that.
Well, for me, the timing for me is really when I know it's right. I do everything, you know, from here first. So when I know that I'm listening to the records and I feel like something is missing, I won't put it out just to make like a deadline or a date, or, you know, even when I was on a major label, that was something I fought tooth and nail all the time. I feel like music is supposed to be the universal language. So how can you be universal and speak all these different languages through your heart and your sound if you're putting a date on it, if you're putting a time on it? Things just kept happening in my life, and it prevented me from putting the album out when I was expecting to. I lost my uncle. I lost 2 aunts in one day. My children were going through different things. I had to be realistic and just say, what do I do as a woman that's trying to balance it all? How do I put it in perspective? One, family first, that's over any and everything. But it was also pushing the music to sound different, because the things I was going through, you can hear the pain in some of the songs. You can hear what's happening. And the single, Trenches, it was a dream come true for me, because I never worked with the Neptunes. For all the years that I've known them and I've run into them and have talked to them, I still never had a record, you know, that was done with them. And so I flew to Miami, and this dream coming true. And then the worst thing I could have ever imagined happens as soon as I land. I go to Streetz Eatery. You know, anytime I go to Miami, I'm gonna eat Streetz food, period. And I walk out of the eatery for them to tell me that Kobe had passed. And then I get to the hotel, and my 12-year-old calls me completely devastated and says, Mama Gigi was with him. So it was world stop for me. So I'm balled up in a hotel room for hours on end. And the next day was my first session with Pharrell. So I had to ask myself, do you rise to the occasion? I felt like less of a friend because I didn't fly right back to LA. It was so many things happening inside of me that I had to really dig deep. So Trenches and those records mean a lot to me, because I really had to make the decision between doing what I felt I should do emotionally and for those that I love, and then for the only thing that feeds my entire family. I don't think people understand a lot of times what artists go through, because there's no on and off switch, and I'm not a machine. You know, I'm constantly going through something. And I just was really trying to figure out what the best thing to do was the whole time. But at the same time, working with real geniuses when it comes to the music, and then to watch them have a level of compassion for me on the night that I just couldn't get through, to the days that I said, I'm in here and I want to use the mentality that he would have wanted me to and get it done. So people have no idea what's really happening when you are creating and why something may take so long. You go back 2 years ago, I was going to drop the record and name it Chapter 38. Hell, I'm getting ready to be 40. So I didn't put it, thank you. I just didn't put a time on it. I just wanted it to be right. And I just kept fighting through until I felt like it was ready.
Well, speaking of working with geniuses, creating new art, girl, what happened with Usher?
What you mean, what happened?
What happened? Why he didn't want to do another song?
I don't know. And you know, I'm a straight shooter. When I see him, I ask him. When I hit him,
you definitely are.
Tell us
sometimes overly so, but I don't want to dumb down who I am, because maybe the perception of it can be misconstrued. Because if I haven't done anything else, I've been good to the people that have come into my space. I treat everybody the way I want to be treated, but I'm also, I'm not going to pretend. I think my longevity has been because I'm okay with being authentic. And that may mean sometimes you judge harshly. I'm being judged harshly right now. It's okay. But I hit Usher about something completely different. And we had a dope conversation about the state of the world, because he's very conscious. Usher is very smart. He's very loving. He understands what's happening. And as a Black man, we were talking about what it is that we have to share with our sons and what's happening right now. And after I just kind of moved into the subject of the song and, you know, he went silent. That doesn't, I don't know if that means he doesn't want to. I don't know if that means we'll talk about it later. I'm focused on something else. I don't know.
The timing might have been off, right?
The timing might have even been off. So I don't want it to seem like shade when I say that he didn't say anything, but he didn't say anything. And then people come ask me if they love Slow Jam or Let's Straighten It Out. I'm repetitively asked, when will we do another record? And if he gets in a space where he want to do it, then I'm down. You know, I was playing on Verzuz, giving him a hard time. He knows me well enough to know what's up. You know, he knows.
So it wasn't a no. It was just a awkward.
Well, to me, a silence is a no.
If it ain't a yes, it's a no.
Yeah, if it ain't a yes, it's a no. But I can't say I know why or anything like that. But I'm saying that when I see him, I will ask him.
Who you talking about? People treating you harsh right now? You just came out Verzuz. You on top of the world. Why are you being treated harsh?
No, I'm not saying I'm being treated harsh. I say I get judged harshly. So when I say something, because I say it really straight, sometimes it'll come off a little bit like mean, and it's not a mean thing. I thought being direct was good, but you know, I think
cut bullshit down. Time is money.
Oh, did it?
Do you feel that just because of how you are, you being a straight shooter, that Brandy probably got some stuff confused? Because it seemed like y'all really wasn't on the same page all the way.
Well, see, you misread it, because we were totally on the same page. We had a full conversation before we sat down, but now I will say this. You have to remember, we hadn't seen or spoken one word in 8 years. All we've had is what other people said. We had a couple, you know, Instagram posts maybe she put up, or maybe, you know, different things. We've never had a word spoken until right before you all saw us. So what you saw was, this is our first time in each other's space. We were definitely on the same page. Let me tell you something. Verzuz is not a paid gig.
Right.
That's a I want to be here gig. That's a I want to celebrate the music gig. That's what that is. So we wanted to be there, and we had a full conversation. But we sat down to a real dope surprise. Kamala Harris, she FaceTimed us. We didn't know it was gonna happen though. So everything that you were seeing was just what happens with a live. Now, if you see two people that have had conversation, like, you know, Snoop and X probably blew one together, probably kicked it. They probably, you know, we didn't get to do any of that. We just got put right there, which is okay, because I wanted people to see the evolution of it. That was the beginning of a whole lot of positive doors opening. That was the beginning of two women that have had the whole world's opinion in the midst of their lives since little kids all the way to now. And our kids were there, and our teams were there, and other people's opinions were there. So you just happened to see everything unfold right in front of you. We didn't have any issues. If you could have seen what happened off camera, I think it would have made a world of difference. But that's not what happens when you do Verzuz. You play the songs, and, you know, they reminded me, they were like, Monica, you know, just try to sit still, play the records, stay on task, you're on a time frame. People don't understand all those things that are happening, you know, so you didn't get to see the best parts of it because they were off camera.
Now,
so what about those moments?
Talking about specifically, was that moment where Brandy kind of said under her breath, do they know that I was one of those people on the receiving end of that? So that's kind of the part that I more so mean, you know, as far as because let me tell you, because maybe at the time Brandy just misunderstood, just misread your frankness, you know, you raw, and she may have just taken it the wrong way.
Well, I apologize if that was the case, but I don't think that was the case, because after Verzuz, we was still there kicking it hours after y'all had logged off. That's why I'm saying how things are sometimes perceived and what's really happening can be so different. When I click off this Zoom, whatever y'all got going on, I won't see, I won't know. And so that's the same thing that happened with us, because what was happening there was we were talking about kick doors. Kick down the door and slap the chick.
Of course.
That that's happening in a relationship sense. So I was like, what? That's what you saw. Because I'm like, now that is only towards the opposite sex. Like, I'm not around here kicking in doors over no songs. The Boy Is Mine, I want people to understand that song was written before I was ever even present. There was no real boy or a real thing, you know, but it's happened, it's gone on for so many years that it is really real in here for some people. It's really real. So you had people trying to read my body language. You can't read my body language in this 4'7" heels.
Listen, I gotta say this, because people, you know, there were a lot of memes where it was like, especially the one that was like, if this girl do one more poem.
Man.
And when I fell back in my chair was actually to Shoulda Known Better and me writing a song about somebody being locked up. And so I fell back in my chair. But see, you can take it and make it what you want it to be. I can't control memes.
Somebody like who? CMurder?
Yeah.
Actually, that song, I mean, he's for sure locked up, but that song wasn't about him, actually.
Okay.
That record was not written about him. But now, because the narrative has changed, that's what people are saying. That song was not written about Corey. At the time, my boys, their father was incarcerated at the time, and that's who that song was about. And Shoulda Known Better was written. I was using my cell phone, and I hit the speakerphone, and I accepted the collect call from inside the studio, and JD said, man, how you accept the call from your cell phone? That go to show you how long it's been, because that's the norm now. But back then, you know, you have to transfer your home phone to your cell phone to accept the phone call. You know what I mean?
You done messed with some dudes in jail.
Yeah, right. So I accepted the call, and I was just, you know, I'm telling them like, hey, we're gonna take about 15 minutes because that's all I got. And he was like, man, he was like, so this is really serious for you. And I was like, yeah, you know, this who I'm with, I'm not gonna turn my back. You know, this case is gonna be a long case. And so as Rock went through that, that's why I tell my sons, y'all come from a strong group of people, because you saw their father change his whole life right in front of the world, basically. But being in a relationship with me, people didn't understand we had already been together 7-8 years before we had kids. So that song was actually written about Rocco, but now the narrative, and it's whatever people say now. Now they say, I've been married twice, it was only once. Now they say this song was about C, it was about Rock. It just like, I haven't had a lot of people in my life, so you pretty much know all my records are gonna be about one of 3 people. So it's really kind of like an easy guess, but the assumptions and the perceptions have taken over the reality. That's not who the record was about. They're going back to all of it, and it's all wrong.
That happens often. So the misunderstanding, I guess,
misunderstanding with who?
Master P. When, you know, because this kind of came out, it was kind of weird because it seemed like you were coming from a real place. You were coming from a solid place.
I was coming from right here. I didn't even think about anybody else, and I would never discredit anybody else because I can't keep tabs on what someone else is doing. I can only do what I know I need to do. That's it. Right. But he apologized and it's over. That's it. I don't hold, why belabor that? The key is his freedom. That's it. The end.
So without prying too much, I'm gonna go on. I'm sorry, Shawty, just real quick. Without prying too much, has there been anything rekindled with Corey? CMurder.
He's incarcerated. Now, ask me this question when he's free.
Yeah, listen.
We'll see. You know, but that wasn't the premise. That is not why I'm on this mission either. Let's keep that real clear. Period. You know, I had a full life. I've been married and had children. Him too. People think people stop living because they're in prison. That's not the case. He had a whole life as well too. This mission is completely different. I want to see prison reform for a whole lot of reasons. I want to see a whole lot of the people that we know and love back on the streets, able to do what they need to do. So that's the goal. That's it.
Do you feel that you have a forever bond with CMurder? Is a big part of your mission because of the love that you have for him?
Of course, you would have to love someone to fight like that. Yeah, of course.
Did it ever get weird in your relationships? Because
no,
like you always had a connection to CMurder. It seems like you kept tabs on him. You checked on him. You made sure that he knew that you were there to support him. Was it ever awkward in your existing relationships?
No. Anything that someone I'm with is uncomfortable with, it never happens twice. So no, all lines of communication were open, and you can ask Job, you can ask anybody that's come in contact with me. I'm gonna be honest at all costs.
Very honest. Very honest.
At all costs. So no, it didn't.
So let's be honest. Let's back up a minute. You know, it's so crazy because I'm thinking of the climate of when you and Brandy were first jumping off the porch, and people were like, "Oh my God!" and they created this quote unquote rivalry. And as you said, it was like other people's narrative. Like, y'all ain't even what, there was no boy. But it always seems like they never wanted it to be two queens in the building. And we're seeing it change and shift now, because when you take on your Cardi B's, your Meg Thee Stallions, these female rappers, they're actually able to coexist in a space. And I'm really digging that right now. And I'm just like, wow, what's your take on that?
I think that a big part of, not even I think, I can tell you that a big part of why Brandy and I wanted to do it after, at first, see, initially, when I said no to doing it, I'll explain why. I said no to doing the Verzuz first because I didn't want to stir the pot of, I like her, I like her. They don't like each other. Look at what she said. Look at her eyes. Watch her hands. Do that. I didn't want that. I didn't want it to feel like that. And I said, let's just leave it alone. All of that has kind of simmered down. Just let's leave it alone. People are working together. People are coming together. And then the question was, what about the music? What about the culture? The winner of Verzuz was the culture. The winner of Verzuz was music. Straight up, because we're nothing alike. If you listen to those songs, as different as they were, we both paved the way for ourselves. We both created a lane and space for ourselves that no one else has been in. There's not another Brandy. There's no one else even close. So the reality is that we both created these two completely different spaces, and I wanted that to be celebrated. Now, when you see us, I hope that lends people that do have issues, because you know how deep the issues when it comes to music and money can be. I hope that it pushes them to dead whatever it is. If nothing else happens from Verzuz, I hope that the women, because there are still a lot of women and artists, even men, that they just cannot be in the same space. I hope that comes to an end. I hope they see that if we can, after however many years of whatever back and forth it may have been, if we can, anybody can. I believe, with communication.
The ladies
again,
definitely dominating, I feel, in all areas, whether it's hip hop, R&B, women are taking charge, even if it's, the businesswoman behind the scenes. The fact that you and Brandy broke the Verzuz record, not even just broke it, you guys really set a record that I think is going to be so hard for somebody to get it.
Y'all double the numbers.
You had to feel the love. I mean, girl, we were thirsty for this battle, thirsty for it, and we're just so grateful that both of you queens were able to step into the room and do that, because like Jock said, the times are changing. We see all these women showing each other love. We spoke to Mulatto about it the other day, and she felt that she came out at the right time. She feels like this was the best moment for her to be embraced in hip hop, because the women are allowing that to happen. So as a woman in a male-dominated industry, I am so thankful for that moment.
And we need our men to stand by us too in the process. Like, don't make a matter worse, make it better. Because like I say, the outside noise, the chatter of other people was always more intense than she and I ever had an experience face to face. And like when you look at Mulatto, I love Mulatto, but I grew up on Gucci. I grew up loving Gucci. I grew up not just listening to him, but even once you have a relationship and have a real friendship with the person, you just have a respect for them. So for him to stand behind her and put her over something that's like a real classic trap record that we all know and love, like we need that too. So it's not just us as women alone. We need the men to always stand in the gap, like Gucci did for Mulatto, like Wayne did with Nicki. Like, we need that constant support. Like, as women, we take on a lot, but if we got half of that back, we could catapult ourselves even further. So it's a two-way street.
Shout it.
Yo,
Shawty and I were having a conversation, Monica. And when your name come up, Mo, it's always real, solid, beautiful, can sing. Right?
She like,
we Shawty and Sue going back and forth, and we just listening to the music now. And it just seems like some of the music that these women are putting out, I don't think they're using the same type of censorship that people of your caliber put in their music, no matter how big they are. Because, you know, some of the songs, that's a perfect example. Whop. It's jamming.
Yeah.
Can't deny it. We can't denounce it. It's
Yeah,
jamming.
for sure.
But how do you feel when a Mo is in the whip and her 7-year-old daughter is singing WAP?
Well, see, it's on the radio. So that is a responsibility of, if we're going to get into that conversation, we would have to get into it with everyone, because we all play a part. You know, back in the day, you couldn't say the stuff that you can say now, even on the radio. We went in and we did a full, completely different radio version. Then we had, you know, I have songs where I say different things, like Sideline Ho. It's not the song that I would whip out and play for her, but if it were on the radio, how is it avoidable? I think you need your WAPs just as much as you need your For You I Wills, because there is a time and place where I just want to have a good time, and that's what I would put on. And The censorship is not going to happen clearly with television and radio, so I have to do that as a parent at home. And that's something that I always say. If I'm going to speak on what I feel like is a good influence for my child, I have to first be that and then monitor that. So if I don't want something in my home, then I control that. I control what comes through the speakers and the doors. I feel like you need all kinds of music. We had Grace Jones, we had all kinds. They were raw and raunchy. You know, we had all of this over the years. This is nothing new. I think you need all those types of musics, you know, in the space. We have to control what our children are kind of hearing and listening to. And then we have to be real with them. We have to sit down and explain a lot of what they're hearing. With a 15-year-old son, these conversations over here are deep, deep. He's hearing everything. You know, he's able to see a lot. So instead of just hiding things from them, I'm talking about things. Me personally, I use a record like WAP as open dialogue and conversation between all of us. But I feel like you need all of that type of music, just like you need the types of music that I balance. Because absolutely you need the balance. Absolutely you need to be able to just have a great time and enjoy yourselves. And I don't think artists should be censored. I think the censorship has to happen in the prospective places. If I know that my viewership, let's say I have a television show, and I know that it's from age 6 to 60, then that means I'm responsible for making sure 6 to 60 is okay with what they're viewing. I don't think it's the artist that should be censored. I think it should be done in the prospective places, you know, television stations, radio stations, stuff like that. And then you got your kid that's going to get their hands on whatever they want to. Because I remember getting Kilo album and sneaking while my mama would be probably reading the scripture downstairs and singing cocaine. That's the reality. And it was, for my father, the type that would sit down and explain it and break it down and tell you exactly what's going on and let you know, give me real life lessons. And my mama was the type that was like, cut it off. What is that? You know, Jesus loves you. What are you doing? So you gotta have both. You cannot censor artists. I don't think that is the correct way. I don't think that's the
response, because I just feel like with the WAP record, it cannot be about the sexuality, because the sexuality has been in music and art since it started. Men have always given us music to dance to twerk to. They've always told us what they want the woman to do in the song, how they want the woman to be. But it's like when we empower ourselves with that, it becomes a thing. It becomes a topic of discussion.
But okay, I now the WAP song, it is jamming, but you don't think that it perpetuates a certain type of behavior in men towards women, which I'm not saying is right. But when a guy sees a woman singing that WAP all over the dance floor, then you walk up and touch her ass. I ain't saying he supposed to, but you don't think it kind of the energy that music drives that type of energy?
whoever you describe need to be in jail. No, I mean, cause who running up? I'm not grabbing packages when you put on records. Hell, we could take one of Jock records. We're not walking up, you know, he, any, meeny, miny, mo, we got all types of, you know, options when you're speaking on in song. That is not an excuse for that level of behavior. I mean, it's almost, that would be equivalent to saying if you got on a short skirt in the club, you can reach up it. That to me, those two things don't go hand in hand.
Right.
I think that there probably are a group of people that think that way, but absolutely not. I think people are looking for excuses to behave in ways that are unacceptable, period.
Now, I'll interject on that. I totally agree with what you're saying, Mom, but I know what Shawty's saying. Because as a man, it's that moment when I'm sitting here in the club and I'm sitting here next to this chick and she look over at me and she drinking and she's saying them words and then she's saying that she might be, it could be just real, just friendly, flirting. But when she look at me talking about something, don't you want this wet ass? Then talking about, and then she look at you and say, I want you to touch that thing in the back of my throat.
Huh?
Yeah, what you trying to do? You know what I'm saying? It's like, shit, I mean, are you saying that to me or are you just singing a song? Like, I think these, when I hear the song,
that the energy
puts me in shock a little. Maybe because
maybe it just happens to men. Let me tell you something.
I think
the records,
yes.
Listen, the records, the love songs, if you go back to the 90s and listen to what was being said in those songs,
yes,
I wasn't looking at somebody, if you're singing along to it and mean that I want that with, see, so that's something that must be happening with men. I'm gonna suggest you control yourself.
But see, we have to bring up issues like this to let y'all women know. If we don't let y'all women know this how men think when y'all act like this, then you just go out and act like whatever, and then men, and that's the energy that I'm talking about. It creates. See, women are naive. I always say that. I say women are so naive to the fact of how men think or how men play them or how they end up in situations. But you
okay, but see, double that right back to the house. That means teach your daughters, teach your sister, teach your aunt. For me, having all brothers with the mind of a man, when you see me out in public, how have you seen me conduct myself?
Exactly.
I was taught. Now you got these girls raising themselves because men out, they too worried about WAP. They're not worried about their wives, their kids, you know, their sisters. This goes back, cut the music. This goes right back to the household for me.
Always.
You know, I understood certain things because even though my dad a tough dude, everybody know him, Zone 3 Cleveland Avenue. He worked the corner store. My aunts were real hustlers, but guess what? We got the truth. That's why I don't mind when they talk about where I'm from or they call me hood or whatever else they may call me. There's still a level of knowledge that I possess because of that upbringing that allows me to conduct myself in a manner that has helped me to sustain for 25 years. I'm talking about as a young girl with nothing but, I mean, this was a male-dominated industry then and now. And I was able to conduct myself because the men in my life gave me what I needed. If you give these girls what they need, they don't take the perceptions of music or the words and the lyrics and make it their reality. They're making it their reality because in their real lives, they are lacking the love, the attention, the acknowledgement of their beauty being their own. Like the comedian said the other day, she was like, I like that you didn't get your breast done. Now, I'm not knocking who gets their breast done. What's Lala? She's so funny. So she was like, I'm glad, I like that you didn't get your breast done. And I told her the truth. I say, it's never crossed my mind. I figured what he gave me, he meant for me to have. They work well. You know what I mean? Hey. That's my perception though, because I came up with my brothers telling me, man, yeah, Mo, listen, when a dude say such and such, that was off rip. I grew up with a father that when he was hanging in the hood, I would be on his side and he would take me and he would tell me, look at that. Oh, man, You never got to do that. Or my dad, I grew up hearing all the time that I was beautiful. Am I the most beautiful woman in the world? Hell no. But I grew up being okay with me because my village was really on top of me having that. The problem when people dig into these lyrics and they become these Cardi's a whole wife. Megan's a whole fool. I mean, she's a daughter that she had a mama that was standing right beside her when she was putting out these records and she was supporting her. She didn't feel a lack of love. She didn't feel like the way she looked or her body was the only thing she had to offer. She out freestyled all of these niggas. So that's what I'm saying. The message is so missed because these girls aren't getting it in the place that it's supposed to start in, at home.
That is.
Definite.
If you're just tuning in, Young JLC, the streets want to take over. Solo Shawty, the beautiful Monica. Man, I'm talking about, listen, you done gave us an earful. I feel like I'm being homeschooled right now. Hell.
You said
what else? What's the next lesson, teach?
Man, we got to stand for hours. We got to teach our kids. You know, some of the stuff my son could tell you is because myself, Nora Rock, are shielding them from the real world and the real truth. You know what I'm saying? We have to equip our kids with the facts. We have to equip them with the knowledge that they need to survive, not just book smarts. I'm talking about the world is different and we have to be different because of that. So we have to get out of pointing fingers and just blaming music and politics. It all can play a part, but what I got at home is what has kept me.
All right, so 100%. The new single featuring Lil Baby. Let's let the world know about that one more time, Monica, before we get out.
Yeah, Trenches is out now. You can get it on all platforms. If y'all follow me at Monica Denise, I'm gonna start really putting everything that I'm doing independently to there, because I'm finding that a lot of people want to, you know, go about it independently. It's not easy. It's taxing on the mind, body, and soul some days, but it's really worth it. And putting out a record like this and having somebody, Lil Baby isn't undoubtedly the hottest in the game right now, but what I like and love is that he's still from where we're from. He gets it on a different level, because I did a record with the Neptunes about loving a man that's living a life that most don't survive. That's a big deal to me. It means something to me because I'm reminding the young guys that's from where I'm from that you can make it out, and it's somebody that'll love you through that pain. It's somebody that'll love you through your process, and that's really what Trenches is about. And I've been in the trenches. You know, people know that. I have no shame in that. And having a record like that done with people as huge as the Neptunes, and then having Lil Baby on it, somebody who knows what that's like, it's just. I just feel honored to still be in this space and be in a place where I can do that, and then to do it myself. You know, I don't have a machine behind me anymore. When something happens, I have to go into savings.
Period.
It's a whole different world. And then I do it with my first cousin, my mama's sister child.
We cannot wait, Monica. I know I cannot wait. I've literally always been a fan. I grew up in 4th Ward on Auburn Avenue, so they would be like, yeah, you know, Monica slid through the hood. I'm like, no, she didn't. Not Monica. No, she did not. She is not in 4th Ward.
Oh, yeah, I'm a slide. My brother TJ from over there.
Yeah, that's what I ended up learning. And I actually used to work at Unica, too, and I remember you.
Oh, yeah, in Greenbrier.
Yes. You came in, you had the baby, and I was just like, Monica's here. Like, that's Monica. And they were like, you got to go help her. And I was like, me? I don't know what to do. They was like, just help her. I was like, but it's Monica. Like, it was like a total fan moment. So fast forward to this. I mean, girl.
It's happening right now.
Yeah, that's our second fan out.
I love me some Monica.
Over here.
Yeah.
You know, the baby I used to bring in like literally the baby I used to bring in Unica is 15.
Wow. Yeah, he a Capricorn, ain't it?
No, so that's my middle child. That's Romello. Romello is 12. Yeah. He a Capricorn. January 8th. Yeah. January 8th.
12 and 7.
Yeah.
Ooh, you a Capricorn, Shawty?
I was born on January 8th. I remember the night you had him and they announced it on the radio. I was like, hey, one time for the team.
You know that daddy, he a Capricorn too. Y'all a handful, but I'm gonna tell you what. the hardest workers in the game. My 12-year-old, he will outwork anybody on the field or the court any day. Sports is his thing. So like when I say I've never seen a person work as hard as a Capricorn, maybe a Virgo. That's about it.
And me, look, and me and Rock from being here, he a hard worker too.
Yeah. He a hard worker.
He a hard worker.
Real trio.
Hey man, so again, we want to take the time to say thank you for your time, Monica. It was definitely a pleasure.
Thank y'all for supporting me all these years too. Please know that I don't take it for granted. I couldn't do what I do without the people that love me, that appreciate me, and that have somewhat understood me all these years. I'm really just trying to get the message out for the people that's just like me.
Hey,
Monica, listen, Monica. All right. For my birthday.
I knew it.
For my birthday.
What?
It's two people that I wanted to be able to hang with for my birthday.
Who was that?
That's Sade and that's Monica. I don't think we're gonna get Sade. I just, I don't know who to call for Sade. I just don't. I mean, if a Sade record come on, I'm stopping in my tracks. Monica, you know how we feel about you. I love you. Like,
me?
Straight up.
You've been around me a million times.
I know it, but I'm saying, for my birthday party, I want you to come through my birthday party.
Your birthday was gonna be at the house.
You can wear a mask.
I don't get out until COVID.
Better yet, this is what we want. I want you to. We're gonna do a virtual cameo for my birthday party. I got the big screens in the club. You can pop up. You can have your little party. You can kick it like we done.
Okay, I can do that.
That's all I want.
That's gonna be lit.
Say no more.
Right there.
Yeah.
Say no more.
And if you know how to get in touch with Sade,
I don't.
Hey man, thank you for your time, Monica.
I love y'all.
Yes,
new album Trenches is out right now. Y'all go cop that. The new single. What's the single called?
Trenches, been in them. Featuring Lil Baby.
Oh, so the album is called Trenches too.
I'm undecided. It's either gonna be Trenches or MDA, because that's my name, Monica Denise Arnold. It's the real me through and through.
Hey, I'm gonna use your license.
You what?
I'm gonna use your license today. Mine suspended, so they pulled me over. Monica Denise Howard.
My last name Arnold, so use Howard, because I don't know if I paid my ticket yet.
Period.
All right, Monica, it's love. Thank you for your time.
All right, bye, y'all.
Take this real quick, guys.
All right, gang.